Thank you for tuning in to Entertain the Geeky, your source for nerd news.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jason back at you with more nerd news. So, it has been a while since we have done a news episode. Those of you out there that know me know that me and my wife just moved into a new house. So that's been a few weeks of hell, just moving things back and forth and dealing with the heat. And it's been a long time coming to get back to nerd news here, but here we are. And we've got a lot of stuff to go over. We'll be back at you every week here now. I've even got some upcoming content. We've got some movie reviews that we're a little behind on, and some E3 coverage with our video game guy, Mike. So stay tuned for that. But for nerd news, we've got, like I said, a lot of stuff to go over. I'm going to kind of go through it kind of quickly here. Big news in Detective Comics number 980. Now this is from a few weeks ago, but it definitely has implications for the future of two characters that are very, very well liked among fans, and of course I'm talking about Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain. Now, dealing with all of these things that have come up in the rebirth because of what happened with Dr. Manhattan, screwing with the timeline, we are starting to see these pieces kind of fall back into place. And it is revealed to Stephanie and Cassandra by the brother Eye that they were both Batgirls, and that these lives were taken from them. So the Eye tells them of this timeline, goes through kind of all of the key moments in this timeline, which was a really great sequence within the book. Just kind of showing some flashbacks to spoiler, Stephanie as Robin, and then Stephanie as Batgirl, Cassandra becoming Batgirl, being part of the family. It was a pretty heartfelt moment, and it looks like we might be getting Stephanie and Cassandra both back in the Batgirl guise. Now, Barbara is still in the Batgirl guise. She has been Batgirl again since the start of DC's New 52. But fans have been clamoring to see Stephanie and Cassandra again. They've both popped up. They've both been part of these new Rebirth Detective Comics stories, and they were even part of the Future's End story way back with New 52. So as our writer James Tynion gets ready to exit Detective Comics with his number 1000, I think might be actually his last issue. But hopefully, before he departs, he will get us the two women that we love back in Batgirl costumes. It'd be an interesting thing to see, and it would definitely please a lot of fans. Over on the Marvel side of things, X-Men Extermination apparently is a big thing that they've got going on, coming in the future here. The tagline for it is exterminate the past, eliminate the future. So this seems like it's going to focus on the original X-Men that have been time displaced and are currently in the present day. There have been a lot of questions about whether or not they are going to go back to the past, or they're going to be eliminated. What does this do to the timeline? How have they remained outside of their timeline for so long without screwing things up? But the countdown to extermination is doing little kind of preludes in the back of X-Men comics that take you far into the future and show you kind of a preview for this extermination event that's coming. So the reading order for the preludes begins with X-Men Gold, number 27. It goes into X-Men Blue, number 27, X-Men Red, number 5, Astonishing X-Men, number 13, and Cable, number 159. Now, most of these have come out already. The two that haven't are Astonishing X-Men and Cable, which will be coming in July. But it looks like they're going to, like I said, kind of do some little backup prelude things that are leading up to Extermination number 1, which comes out in August. So, new big X-Men event to look forward to in the future. Sticking with the Marvel side, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman have released a new Venom story, Venom number 1. If you're not familiar with Donny Cates, he just finished up his run on Thanos, which if you've not checked out is a great book, a great look into the Mad Titan, especially if you're not the biggest you don't have the most knowledge of Thanos because there's a lot of history for him going back to different eras of Marvel's past. But it's a fantastic run that gives kind of a personal look and gives you a little more insight into Thanos. But he has started Venom, and it looks like he is shaking up the world of Venom, similar to how he shook up the world of Thanos. More specifically, the world of the symbiotes. Because in this issue, we are taken back to the past, and we see soldiers of Beowulf. He screams out, "Where is Beowulf?" One of the soldiers. So what they're doing is they've kind of rewrote the symbiotes' history to show that they've actually always been on Earth. If you look at the events of Beowulf, that puts it around 600 AD, 700 AD, somewhere in there. So definitely, even fans of the symbiotes who have been reading since the very beginning, definitely have something new to check out. The issue ends beautifully with a beautiful page that shows a winged creature that with just a little tagline that or with a little thought bubble that says "God is coming," and apparently what we are to understand is this is the god of the symbiotes. This is the creature that Beowulf's men were fighting with so long ago, but it has been on Earth forever. So we, rewriting the history of the symbiotes, we initially thought the symbiote first appeared on Earth to Peter when the J. Jonah Jameson's son came back from space and inadvertently brought a little bit of it with him. But it turns out that wasn't actually the first. We are going way, way back. Donny Cates is rewriting Venom's history. So definitely one to follow if you're a fan of not only the symbiotes, but of Donny Cates' writing style. If you read Thanos, I'm sure Venom will continue the awesome trend that he started. Over on the TV side of things, we've been worried. I've talked about it on the show. Everyone was worried about what was going to happen with Rick and Morty. Well, calm down, everyone. Rick and Morty has been reordered by Adult Swim for 70 episodes. Which is, I've heard some people say, well, is that too much? And I don't really think it's too much. I mean, look at some of the animated series that we love, like Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, American Dad. Some of these shows have been on for hundreds of episodes. So clearly we have, a love for our goofy, kind of quirky animated things. But Rick and Morty is definitely the number one comedy, whether it's live action or animated. I mean, all of 2017, it was a sensation. We have, games now, board games, video games, or cell phone games, I guess is the way to put that. But, calm down. It's staying around. It's not going anywhere. It's, more Rick and Morty is coming, so there's no reason to be worried. Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland are going to be sticking around for a while to continue writing this show. Be interesting to see if they, continue with the continuity thing that they had started, or if they kind of veer away from that and go back to it being just kind of a goofy, every episode is its own thing. But they've got a lot of time to work out the plot details and kind of continue this cartoon that we all love. Sticking with TV for a little while here, we finally got some information about Jon Favreau's Star Wars TV show that will be debuting with the Disney streaming service. Not a lot of information has been revealed. We don't even have a title yet. But we do know that the story will be set between the events of Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So it looks like we always had a lot of expanded universe tales that took place after Return of the Jedi, but a lot of that's been thrown out. So it looks like they're going to let Jon Favreau and others kind of fill in those gaps between what happened at the end of Return of the Jedi at the Battle of Endor and what happened to the events of the beginning of The Force Awakens when we're introduced to Rey and Finn and the Resistance. And it'll be interesting because we really still have very little information about where the First Order, how the First Order was born. So it seems like maybe he'll get a chance to kind of fill in those gaps a little bit and kind of tell us some story that we have yet to hear. Sticking with TV, Gotham just finished up its recent season, and it looks like the next season is finally going to give us Batman. I know that's something that everyone has been clamoring for and hoping that was ultimately going to come, but we are going to get one more season of the show. And it looks like we're finally going to get Batman and the Joker and all of the things that we, wanted out of a Batman television show. It's a shame that it will be the final season, kind of similar to what they did with Smallville, where we don't even see Superman put his costume on until the very last shot of the very last episode. Hopefully that will not be the case with Gotham. I'd love to see him as Batman all season. But within Gotham, a side story, Epix has ordered a 10-episode story about Alfred Pennyworth. It's just going to be called Pennyworth. I'm not really sure why we need to know about Alfred's backstory, but Epix seems to think there's a story to tell there. So there you go. We are going to get a story about Alfred. Whether or not the person who's been playing him currently in Gotham will be the person that will take over, or they will cast someone new, is yet to be seen. But keep your eyes open. We'll keep some more information. We'll keep up with all of this and bring all the latest to you. On the movie side of things, we finally got a good look at Zachary Levi in his Shazam costume. And in all reality, I think it looks kind of cool. They showed off a poster of him full costume, kind of sipping some soda out of a cup with a big bendy straw. And if you're unfamiliar with Shazam, what you have to remember about him is he's just a little kid named Billy who gets the power of Shazam through magic, and it turns him into an adult, a god, basically. So we're going to have that movie. Would be interesting to see kind of the switching back and forth, but the poster definitely implies this is a man with the mind of a child, because that's what it is. I mean, he is a full-grown adult when he's in the Shazam form, but he still has the mind of, 12, 13-year-old Billy Batson. Which in the old cartoons and in some of the movies recently, the cartoon movies recently, they have made some great jokes about how, he's still a child in his mind, wanting to team up with the female characters on the team because he's a 13-year-old boy. So I'm sure we'll get some of that humor as well, but the poster definitely implies, like I said, the mind of a child in a grown man. And the costume looks pretty similar to the New 52 costume. It looks like the kind of the white cape has a hood on it that he can pull up. The symbol, the lightning bolt symbol on the chest is glowing. The costume looks really cool. I don't want to give up on DC. I really, really want to love what they're doing. And I really hope that that these movies like Aquaman and Shazam and the sequel to Wonder Woman and some of the other movies they've got coming down the pipeline will put it back on the right track. And I know we've heard that before. This will be the movie that puts it back on the right track. And so far, the only one that has really impressed has been Wonder Woman. So we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping that what they do will be good. I want to love their stuff. I really do. We've gotten rumors, just sticking with DC, we've gotten rumors that Matt Reeves' Batman movie is going to focus on a younger version of the character, maybe do kind of a Batman Year One type story. We don't have a lot of details yet, but it looks like Ben Affleck might not be playing the character in that movie after all. So we'll have to wait and see. Sticking with the movie stuff, though, we got a synopsis for Avengers 4. It's very, very short, and it really doesn't give a lot of spoilers. I will put up a spoiler alert just in case, but the synopsis reads, a culmination of 22 interconnected films, the fourth installment of the Avengers saga will draw audiences to witness the turning point of this epic journey. Our beloved heroes will truly understand how fragile this reality is and the sacrifices that must be made to uphold it. So obviously we've been getting information, popping up about Avengers 4. In fact, I think they even showed some footage this week at Cine Europe. But we still don't have a title. We still don't know much about how this movie's going to undo all the terrible things that Infinity War did to our beloved characters. But what I am seeing and what I keep noticing is that whatever they end up doing, however they end up fixing everything, it's not going to be what we expect it to be. Everyone just kind of has this idea in their head of what this movie is going to be, and the Russo brothers are quick to shoot down rumors and shoot down false information that talks about the plot of their film. So as they've started doing this, it definitely seems like our guesses are not on the right track. We need to kind of look... we need to kind of change how we're thinking about what this movie is going to be, because we're not right. We are definitely wrong. As far as plot details, those again are not as forthcoming. A lot of this is guesswork. Hopefully we'll hear more. There has been rumor that we're supposed to get the title of the film sometime next week, so we'll definitely keep you up to date on that. Some plot details also leaked for the sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming, which at this point I guess is just titled Spider-Man 2. But we do know that Michael Keaton is going to be back as Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. The guy who played Mac Gargan is coming back to play Scorpion. And apparently the main villain will be Mysterio. And the rumor is that Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be taking on the role of Mysterio. Now, Mysterio is a great villain. If you're unfamiliar, he was just a special effects guy who turned to villainy because of his mastery of magic and the special effects and things like that. He's a pretty major villain from the comic books. And hopefully, what they're building to is the Sinister Six. I mean, I know that was something that Sony wanted to do before they got rid of Spider-Man and let Marvel take, creative control again. So hopefully that's what we're going with. I mean, Vulture, Scorpion, Mysterio, we have the makings of a Sinister Six. We had Shocker in the first movie. He's still around. We had Tinkerer, who was, the guy who was building all the tech. So hopefully this is something that we're going to get going forward. I mean, I'm excited to see Sinister Six getting villains to team up to take on the Spider-Man. I mean, that's been something that the comics have done so well for so long, and I'd love to see it pop into a movie, especially when we heard the guy who was playing Mac Gargan say at the end of the first Spider-Man Homecoming movie that, want to talk to our little spider friend, maybe sit down, slit his throat. These are violent criminals, and Spider-Man is just a child. So it should be very interesting kind of dichotomy to see the two, group, the group of villains and Spider-Man kind of balance his life and being a superhero and still being a high school student. So it should be very interesting. Going back over to the comics side for a minute, Vertigo is relaunching its entire line with 7 new books. These series will definitely tackle some more adult material, including like white supremacy, sex workers. It seems, Vertigo has always definitely been an adult line. It's where we got, Hellblazer, the John Constantine story. It's where we got Sandman. So definitely it's always been geared towards adults. But again, 7 new series have been announced, and I'll just go through them real quick here. Border Town, which is supposed to be a crack in the border between worlds, releases an army of monsters from Mexican folklore into Arizona. Hex Wives is a malevolent conspiracy of men brainwashes a coven of witches to be subservient suburban housewives. American Carnage is going to be a crime saga. Disgraced FBI agent Richard Wright, who is biracial but can pass for white, goes undercover in a white supremacist group believed to be responsible for the death of a fellow agent. Goddess Mode, which is a near future where all of humanity's needs are administered by a godlike AI. It's one young woman's horrible job to do tech support. High Level, which hundreds of years after the world ended and human society was rebuilt from scratch, a self-interested smuggler with a price on her head is forced to traverse a new continent of danger and mystery to deliver a child messiah to High Level, a mythical city atop the world from which no one has ever returned. Safe Sex, a dystopian sci-fi thriller about a ragtag team of sex workers fighting for the freedom to love in a world where sexual pleasure is monitored, regulated, and policed by the government. And finally, Second Coming, which God sends Jesus to Earth in hopes that he will learn the family trade from Sun Man, an all-powerful superhero who is like the varsity quarterback son God never had. But upon his return to Earth, Christ is appalled to discover what has become of his gospel and vows to set the record right. So, some very interesting, possibly to some offensive books coming from the new Vertigo imprint. Sticking with comics, Jeff Johns, this is a big one. Jeff Johns, who has been an executive, he's been the CCO of DC Comics for a while now, is stepping down to take on a bigger role in the storytelling part of things. So he is currently the CCO, and he will be replaced by Jim Lee. Jim Lee's been a co-publisher for a while, but he will take on the job of CCO once all of this is finalized. But what Johns is going to be doing is he's going to be writing films. He will be, working on the Green Lantern Corps movie that's coming, the Flash and Arrow TV show stuff. He's basically going to be kind of a overseer of all of their digital entertainment. So leaving the comic world and moving into the TV and film world will be Jeff Johns, and will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see when they put him in full charge of the writing and kind of the direction that things are taking, whether or not that will help kind of help put things in their movie universe back on the right path. Over in the video game world, I'm going to touch on a couple of things real quick. We are going to do an E3, some E3 coverage, some E3, podcasts here this weekend, so we'll have those up for you next week. But God of War, which has been huge. I mean, it's been such a big thing. It's been such a fantastic video game. Is going to add something that the fans have been clamoring for, and that is New Game Plus, where you can carry over everything that you've worked so hard, all the armor that you worked so hard to build or to craft and find all the materials and defeat all the enemies. You'll be able to take that and go into a harder version of the game where you have all of the upgrades and things that you've had up to this point. So kind of a little gimmick that a lot of games have been doing, but God of War definitely is a game that it will work really well for, because, I mean, the Valkyries, there are several bosses in the games that are some of the hardest fights. So being able to go back and kind of level up a little more and then try it again, yes, obviously the difficulty will be a little higher, but it looks like it will be something that will add some replay value to a game that really has a lot of replay value already. Obviously we, up on the website, we had the trailer for the new Pokemon games for Switch, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which are returning to the Kanto region to do a more classic tale. But really, this, I think, is just a platform to see how well they can connect these things to other things that they're doing. So this new Pokemon game will be connected with Pokemon Go. You'll be able to transfer Pokemon between your Pokemon Go cell phone account and your Switch. They're even releasing a little thing called a Pokeball Plus, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a little Pokeball that you can use to play the game with, control the game. You can even put little Pokemon in it and take them around with you on walks. But we're going to cover this in the E3 podcast. I just wanted to talk really quickly about how the fact that the Pokeball Plus, each one will come with a Mew. So your Pokemon, your Pokeball Plus that you're gonna accessory that you're gonna buy to play your Pokemon games on Switch will get you a Mew right off the bat. It's not a introductory offer. It's not a limited time. If you buy one, it comes with a Mew in it. So start your collection right away by picking up the Pokeball Plus. Going back over to the movie side of things to wrap things up here, apparently the DC staff have seen the Aquaman movie, and their reactions are in. So I'm just going to throw some quotes here. Jeff Johns, he co-wrote Aquaman's story, said the underwater stuff has never been executed like this. The visual effect shots coming in are beautiful. James Wan can switch modes from horror to big, bright, colorful action to really emotional scenes. He's so able to hit all these different genres. Peter Safran, one of the producers, said Aquaman has got the great action you'd expect. It's got a lot of great humor. It works on so many levels. It's a testament to James Wan's unique vision. I think it's an extraordinary step in the DC universe that sets it on the right path. Now, that last part gets me, right? Because we've heard that before from DC. This is the movie that's going to set us on the right path again. And so far, we've just not had that. I've not seen it. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm excited to see Aquaman. I do think that one of the best parts of Justice League was his portrayal, Momoa's portrayal of Aquaman. So I'm definitely interested to see if this movie will continue, if this movie will have that same level of humor. We'll find out, though, as we go along. We've definitely got a lot to look forward to from DC. Whether or not those things will be good, we'll see when they come. So that's going to bring us to the end. Again, I'd like to say I'm sorry that we have had such a long gap. We will fix that. That will not happen again. Moving into a new house and the shuffle and all that kind of just threw off my whole schedule. But I definitely want to thank everybody for being so patient, and I hope you keep enjoying what we're doing here. If you like what we're putting down, do me a favor, go on over to entertainthegeeky.com. Check out the blog post, the Nerd News. We've got all the E3 trailers. It's a big week for being a nerd. Keep your eyes open. We will be doing the Kickstarter for Conniving Cooks sometime soon. And if you like, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentgeeky. If Twitter is more your social media platform of choice, we are there as well at entertaingeeky. And if you want to chat with me and let me know what you think of the show, or just talk to me about maybe doing some collaboration, maybe you feel like you have an opinion about something and you want to share it with the masses, reach out to me. I'd love to Skype you in and have you on the show. So until next time, guys, stay geeky.